Yekshmesh Piotr. Fourth time I'm making this video. I'm going to do this one really quickly. Making just a simple 3D model, something we can use as a guideline to make our isometric art. So now we have our 3D object. I'm just going to render it out and we can have a look at it in Photoshop. So I made a little mistake in our rendering, but now I have the right image. So yeah, this can be as detailed as you want it to be, but I'm just going to be nice and quick, and I will do vertical lines first, and I will literally just kind of trace them. I'm trying to be quick, so I'm not going to be very accurate. We'll fix it later. So all vertical lines, and you kind of have to use your imagination that you know that this one's going to go all the way down there. So that's all the vertical lines I see. I will name this vertical or top down or whatever. Next I will do the lines going to kind of the left. And what I will do is I will create a new layer. You probably know how to do that. It's down there. I will hold left shift and I will drag a line, and this is going to be kind of our line, our baseline. I'll move this down manually. It takes a while in the new Photoshop because they kind of messed up the way you move and drag things, and the most accurate way to do things is like that. Clicking and dragging it is horrible. So on this you'll see there's a little rotation, and we're going to start rotating this up like this. That will open up a box up here, and you want to set that to 30 or minus 30 degrees depending on your angle, and that will give us an exact 30-degree angle. You also want to make sure that your interpolation, which is kind of like the anti-aliasing, is nearest neighbor, because if it wasn't nearest neighbor it would look something like this. 30. If it's on bilinear you'll get fuzziness, and this because it tries to make the line look smoother, which is another form of anti-aliasing. But yeah, we don't want that because we want to make it look pixelated. Once you've got that line in position, personally what I would do is or I do this most of the time anyway actually, is just copy that line. So you drag the existing layer, which was this one, down to that little kind of papery looking thing, and that will copy your layer, and all you want to do after that is just move it down. And Photoshop messed up how this works, so I usually zoom all the way out. I hold Alt, zoom all the way out, and just hold down on my directional buttons until it's roughly in the place I want it. And that was quite accurate. I'm going to do the rest of my lines. I'll do this in the same way, and then after we've got the lines we will clean them up slightly. So after you've got those lines, what I will do is create a new group, highlight all of these layers by holding shift and clicking down to where you want your selection, and then you click and drag onto the little folder and it will put it in a new folder. I'm going to call this box lines. Now I'm gonna do this line, and this isn't a set angle, it's not 180 and it's not 30. So how I would do this is make a new layer, find my pencil tool and hold shift and click somewhere in the middle of these two vectors or points in space, and then I would try and follow the line up to the nearest, kind of the next join. So that will do for me. And because I'm lazy, I'm going to take these two lines I've just made and just copy them and put them in the back. So I'm contemplating whether to collapse these, right click and merge layers into one layer, Or if I wanted more flexibility, I would, and you know, chance to edit in the future, I would put them in a folder. But for this example, I think I'm going to just collapse them into one layer. Merge visible. So the way I'm going to clean these up is by using the polygon lasso tool. It means I can follow this line just by clicking. Oh, sorry. Polygon lasso tool is just up here. So yours might look like this lasso tool. You just want to click and hold and then drag to polygon lasso. So your polygon, if you click, you can make shapes like this, and that will become your selection. What I do is just follow the line like such, so you get kind of a straight cut. And yeah, you could do that however you want. So I'm just cutting the top of. Oh, I've got to select vertical, and I'll just take it off. And this will leave me with some pixels. You see that one's kind of grey, that one's grey, and these ones are black. They will leave pixels that have been, you know, manually cut off. It's trying to look like an eraser, like it's trying to look like a brush eraser, which will kind of try and can't really see it. A brush, there you go, which will try and look like a real eraser and kind of leave some that aren't so close and whatever. But for now, that's fine because all these lines are going to meet other lines, and all that is going to be hidden. So for now, it doesn't matter. I'm going to clean the rest of these lines up. One thing, the way I'm getting around so quickly, kind of zooming in, then zooming out, zooming in, zooming out, is using Alt. If you use Alt and use your scroll wheel, if you have a scroll wheel, then the mouse will automatically zoom into that point. And the way I'm doing zooming in onto the Photoshop program is with the Windows and plus key, and you can do this a few times, so you get really close up. And Windows and minus will bring you back to full screen. You can make straight lines just by holding shift. So it worked with the pencil, and it's working with this polygon lasso tool as well. So it will make a straight line in up, diagonal, and across. So what's that? 45-degree angle. I am going to remake this line. I'm not going to tell you why yet. I just realized you can hold shift when you're rotating things, and you will also have snap points. So things will snap to, it looks like 15 degrees. So that's 15 degrees, that's another 15, another 15. And this also will snap to 30 degrees because it's a multiplication of 15. And you could just press enter on that, and that's made my life a little bit easier. I'm still not a Photoshop champion. There are things I know and a lot more things I don't. You'll realise later that I don't know how to use masks. Never have. I've been quite rough with this, so you'll see I have some spaces. We can fill those in a bit later. So now the lines are complete for the kind of box. Hide the box lines, and in my lines folder, I will make a new folder by coming down here. And I don't think you can see that. Yeah, make a new folder, put it in lines, and call it tube lines. And I'll do the same thing for the tube. So I will make a line like such. Oh, smoothing has been turned on. I'm not sure how I did that. Smoothing is an option up here. And I used to have a program called Lazy Nezumi Brush, and it used to do this for you, but now Photoshop 2019 has this built in. You can just turn that to 0 and see the rest of this. So I don't. You can also cut and paste these. Paste it up there. Oh yeah, that's why we can't cut it. Dotty. And just move it to where that needs to be. It'll come down here to the ellipse tool. It might be a rectangle tool. Just hold left click on it and come down to the ellipse tool, just drop and drag. By holding shift as well when you're dragging, you can kind of get, the right diameter. There we go. So for us, we want to come up to these options up here. We don't want a fill, and we want a stroke of black. I'm just using pure black, and 3 pixels. And it's a bit inaccurate, but whatever. I'll come up to edit, and I'll go to transform and skew, and I'll start moving this right hand side, and you see it goes all the way up to 30 degrees. We can probably hold shift and it will snap. No, not snap. That might be handy. Which one's going to be more useful? I think they do the same thing. I'm just going to edit my number up here. The trick to making these things pixels is quite easy. You go to filter, sharpen and sharpen. And I should have rasterized that already, but I'll show you. On the ellipsis, right click and rasterize layer, or just click that dialog box when it comes up. Back to filter, sharpen, sharpen, and then it will give you a shortcut up here, Alt Control and F. So Alt Control F. Nope, that isn't working. What? No, I'm confused. Alt Control F. That usually works. Alt Control F, that usually works. Alt Control. I don't know why that's not working. It usually works. So I'm just going to do it manually, quickly. Just keep going. And right now it's probably fine. So that's how we turn that kind of pixelated one into something sharper. Well, somewhere along the line I accidentally moved my reference, so things are a bit fucky. So the next thing I'll do are the shadows. How I do this personally, I again use the polygon select tool, and I'll make sure this is on black, and I will literally just, in a new layer, find the lines, click the corner where I want, so you'll see which kind of side I'm doing here. Holding shift, because I want it to be nice and straight, click in the corner, and I'll just go around this kind of face. I'll just keep going until I've got it all. After that, I will colour the whole thing, obviously in a new layer, in black. And how we make the shadow is, I can determine if I want that to be 20% opacity, I will colour in, I'll put the opacity up here to 20%. So it doesn't make a lot of sense now, but the reason I do this is because if I was to just manually do the colours, put the colours in, it would just take forever and it'd be a pain in the arse to change all the time. So that's how I do my transparency. So that's how I do my shadows. One more corner here. I can take that away, sorry. I've got one more corner here. And because it's a mixture of the side and the top, I will give the opacity a value in between those two. So this will be 25. And I'll do the exact same thing. Just colour it in or select this face. Again, this might take a while. I like to do things like this manually. Even if it is tedious, like I'm trying to kind of be creative and I want to do that in my own time. And if it takes longer, then cool. You're going to want to make this 40% as well, because if you remember, a box shading, the front edge, oh sorry, 45, because the box, the front is also 45, so, and that's the same angle, so we want to keep them the same so they look cool. You can obviously play with that, whatever, but yeah, 45. The next bit is slightly more difficult, and I can show you the way I've found to do this, the best way, but tubes are a little bit harder than boxes. So here's how I would do it. Go to the paint bucket tool, hold down and find the gradient tool, there we go, and I would come up here and there are presets, and these presets are pretty handy. The light's coming from not like a kind of weird angle, but the top is darker than the bottom, if you can remember. The light's coming from this angle, so the top is going to be darker. So what we want to do is create tube shadow, yeah, create a new layer and kind of picture where the shadow is going to be in this box. And yeah, this preset up here is half black, that fades into transparency, it turns into nothing, transparent. So yeah, if we move this, you see how this kind of goes into from black to, you know, being super transparent. Polygon lasso tool, and I will go around everywhere where I want this shading to be. Next I'll go up to select up here, and this is a tool I use all the time. Select and inverse. If you then press delete, it will take away everything but what's in this box. We still have stuff on the outside because we made it and then rotated it, so we didn't select everything. Just come up to crop up here and just press enter twice, and that will get rid of everything. And I will give this a really basic color. I will give this my favorite color, orange, maybe slightly lighter. In fact, I'd make your colors as light as possible, and just leave all of the tones up to shading. So one of the cheats I wanted to do earlier was to take existing lines and use them to make my selection. What I'll do here is go tube shadow. I will copy these and I will merge them as layers, delete the rest of them. Use my magic wand tool, click outside of that area and inverse again. Now this will give me everything highlighted where I want to make my color. So I'll go back down to my color folder, and in tube I've already got a layer for color, and now I can just paste and it will paste right in there. You're thinking, why is this transparent? Well, this is where a bit of cleanup happens. So find your lines, find box lines, place it in there, find your shadows, box shadows, place everything in there, and then color, box color, place everything in color, and then yeah, you can do the folders how you like, but then I'll just put those in one big folder and I'll call that tube, put tube on top because technically it is. And now you can move tube around wherever you want, and if you wanted to animate this now, because all of these are separate, you can. So personally, there's one thing I want to change, which is the shadows, which I don't like very much. I think, oh, they're not even on, that's why I don't like them. You want to be neater than me, but those are the basics on how to make this kind of art, and I'm going to just take this away, and I've already got my kind of my presets for what I like to have when I'm working. So bam, that's the kind of black background and that's the text. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's been long again, and I hope this has been useful.